All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Today's webinar is titled Back to School, Back to Basics and AI 101. And we are really going to stay to the ground level today just to make sure that everyone is caught up on the overview and current abilities, capabilities, and status of AI in the marketplace. I'm Sean Stevenson. I'm your host today, and I have Paul Buticas as my wingman, helping everything go smoothly behind the scenes. A couple quick comments and housekeeping items before we get started. First of all, we are going to use this recording for marketing purposes. So don't worry though, we're going to have everybody's cameras turned off, face and name off screen. So there will be no concern over your face or your name being out after this. But we will use snips of this for marketing purposes. Secondly, we are going to save some time at the end for Q&A, but if you would please use the Q&A feature at the top of the screen. At the top of your screen, there should be a bar with a Q&A button. Please use that, and Paul will help me get those answered. Please trust that if we don't have time to answer your question today, we will certainly follow up with you via email or a phone call and make sure your question is thoroughly answered, and if you have any others. So the plan is to keep the briefing brief, so let's get rolling. So I'd like to quote something from Captain Obvious. That is, AI is here now. And if that wasn't clear to you guys, then it should be now. And as I said, don't call me Captain Obvious. He's the one who said this, not me. I think that one of the things that we want to talk about today is where we are in the marketplace, and other things that we want to talk through are, let's start with, what's the difference between automation and AI? This is just at a base level. Automation is really using technology to perform tasks with minimal or no human intervention. Examples of this are, if you look at a Ford plant where they're building cars with robotics, that's one example of automation, but it's really doing things that are simply task oriented or programmed, or it's not really doing any thinking or learning. It's just a program, maybe a complicated one, but it's really something that is completely rule-based or command-based. Machine learning is a second level, and that's a subset of AI where you can improve performance by learning from the data rather than being programmed for it. You can analyze the data and act accordingly, like spam filters that are set for new email patterns, or automatically move things that you've flagged as spam before, or predictive maintenance for systems and equipment. But the point is, it's a technique for creating adaptive, data-driven automation. It's really just, I guess, automation on steroids would be the best way I would say it. Artificial intelligence itself is the broad umbrella where everything falls under, and it can perform tasks with human-like intelligence, reasoning, perception, decision-making, language, and understanding. Obviously, it doesn't make you human, but it acts human in some ways by the tasks it can perform. Example of this are chatbots, image recognition systems, etc. We'll go into a few more examples soon. All right, let's talk about a few key terms that I think will help you navigate this topic much easier, and let's dig into it. Natural language processing is really the way AI understands, interacts, and responds to human language. The training data is how information is put into AI and how it learns what it learns. Bias and hallucination are two very important pieces of this. Bias is when the training data somehow produces unfair, unbalanced, or even skewed results. Does that make sense? Kind of like humans have bias, but it's easy for AI engines to get biased as well because of the humans that are feeding them the information and the data and the programming. A hallucination is where AI just makes up something convincing, but it's actually false. I believe that uh, there was a famous hallucination where Abraham Lincoln was reported as a black man, and obviously that's not true. Over time, these will decrease, but know that they will probably never be eliminated. And hallucinations are things that you have to really watch out for. Prompt is the input that you give to an AI tool, be it in a single sentence, a few words, or an entire program that you put into an AI engine. An AI assistant versus an AI agent. Let's touch on this for a minute because I think it's very important to know the difference. An AI assistant, another term for that is an AI bot. That is something that a person might use to make their day-to-day tasks better, to do things that they don't want to do, that take up a lot of time for little return for that time, busy work, things like that. An AI agent is something that is programmed into a workflow, a program, a system of programs to automate in an intelligent fashion tasks that can be done by a human, but you would prefer them to not be take the time up for a human being that you're paying. So the whole point here is for an AI agent and an AI agent built into workflow to actually save you money or make you more money. It should pay for itself. And here's a term that has been used in the past for shadow IT. Shadow IT is when your own people start doing their own IT stuff. They may bring in their own laptop. They may bring in a hard drive or a flash drive and do something with it. So anything IT related that your staff does that you're not aware of. This is a really serious concern in AI. I can count on zero fingers, zero, the number of conversations I've had with people stepping into AI who have not had employees already using AI tools without their knowledge, and some of them that they've never heard of or we've never even heard of yet. There's thousands of tools out there. So shadow AI is something to really consider, and I would even consider you taking some action on this today and checking to see if your people are using AI tools and what they are that you haven't approved or secured or put into your company policy. Okay. All right, now let's take a look at where we are in the adoption. My experiences with every conversation I have about AI, there seems to be a perception that with everyone I talk to that they're behind. They feel the craze, they feel the tsunami of AI information, conversation, and AI is just everything everywhere these days. So let me give you a little data to help you understand. First of all, everyday examples that already exist, like your autocompletes in your predictive text. When you're talking or typing something in Google search and in maybe your phone, your messages on your phone, sending a text or in an email, it's predicting the next word. That's an example of AI. Voice assistants like Siri or Alexa or Hey Google, those are other examples. And then, of course, most people are familiar with getting on a website and saying a chatbot, a support chatbot, or a concierge chatbot that pops up in the bottom right corner of the screen and can just help you do some of the initial Q&A or guidance on the website to make it more efficient and effective for you and easier for the company to manage and produce. So there's a 2025 study that showed that 83% of mid to large size US companies are already in the operational stage or higher. That means it's no longer in a pilot or a proof of concept. It's no longer experimental. They are actually using it to some degree, whether they put it into production to develop and understand, or whether they're actually running their business production on AI generated agents, workflows, et cetera. 83%, which is a pretty high number, but again, that's the mid-tier to enterprise. The small business market is a little different. Basically, there are 28%, and this is from MIT's CISR framework, which is a think tank to help entrepreneurs navigate technology in growing their business. 28% are in experimental or preparatory stages. 34% are in, they've got some pilot or some capability building. They've started putting the pieces together for their AI beyond just considering what to do. 30% or so have industrialized AI broadly. In other words, they've got it in working in several different areas or several different initiatives. And only 7% are AI ready and future ready, meaning they have gotten most of what they want done already in implementation, and their business is actually up and running on AI generated platforms, workflows, and outcomes. Accenture Research did something that I thought was very interesting. They categorized small businesses, and they found out that only 12% were AI achievers, meaning they had a strategy and they had some level of operational execution, just 12%. There were a large group of AI innovators who've gotten the strategy down, but they have not executed at all yet, or very weakly, just getting started or stumbling a little bit. And then AI experimenters is the largest group, which is lacking any strategic or operational maturity at all. They're really just getting started. They're really kind of in the AI 101 space. So I wanted to give you some comfort level that most of the people we talk to, and I would bet most of the people on this call, are in that last category, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're still in the early adoption phase, and you're not behind, trust me. So a few myths that we want to dispel that I think are important. Number one, AI is going to replace jobs. The truth is, it's going to change how jobs are done. Some tasks are going to go away, right? And some tasks are going to appear, some new ones. It's history. It happens over and over again. Anytime there's a technological advance, I think this myth pops its head, rears its ugly head a lot of times. Consider, if you're old enough to really remember and understand the internet revolution, this was a big myth then, that the internet's going to change everything in such a radical way that we won't be able to understand it. We won't know what's going on. It's going to replace jobs. It's going to cause disruption in the marketplace economically, negatively. So same thing here. The macro evolution of technology is something that happens every time. So rather than replacing jobs, it may replace tasks, and of course, it may make some jobs redundant and no longer needed. But the evolution of the economy and things like that will take care of that in itself in the macro level, even with AI. Myth number two is you need a huge budget to benefit. So many entry-level AI tools are free and they're affordable. So that's absolutely a myth. You do not have to revamp your entire company to get some juice out of AI these days. Number three, AI is 100% objective. Now, this is obviously not true because we talked about earlier the bias it can show and the hallucinations that it can have. So you always have to maintain a trust and verify posture here, that you never do anything with AI that's not overseen and verified, at least at this point. All right. Now, next, we're going to talk about some risks. I do believe that we're going to touch base again on the bias and hallucination, because those are big risks. You cannot just copy and paste without thorough oversight. It's just not human. Over-reliance, in my opinion, is really more of a problem over time. If you rely on IT, there's a trend to not verify as rigidly or robustly as you did before. So I would caution you to just remain hyper vigilant on oversight and making sure that the more you do this doesn't change your way of how much you verify, how stringently you verify. Now, it may change the pace of which you verify, but it should not change the vigilance with which you review things and verify. Data security and privacy, another topic on its own, for sure. Compliance issues, there are definitely compliance issues on data. Anytime you have PII information, or compliance with HIPAA, or compliance with FINRA, or compliance with PCI compliance. There's many others, but this certainly does bring an avenue that has to be thoroughly expanded. So shadow AI, let's talk about shadow AI for a second. And that's very similar to shadow IT, which is a well-known term for most folks, where people could bring in their own flash drives, or they could start using their own IT solutions or components of it without you knowing. This is the same thing as shadow AI, people using their own AI tools without your knowledge. And you really need to shut these down. In my opinion, you shouldn't even question what's going on. Shut them down and ask questions later. So get with your IT resource or your IT provider, and I would encourage you just to turn those off today. All right. So let's stay safe. You definitely have to have some internal guidelines. For AI use, you have to make sure that you at least have some parameters on what IT is approved, or sorry, what AI is approved and how to use it. Training and continuous improvement. Training is how to use it, when to use it, and when not to use it even, right? Reputable tools. And when I say reputable, there are so many new ones coming out. This is something that will take an awful lot more scrutiny these days than other platforms that you may have started using. A robust security policy. This is also something that's really a discussion in itself. It can vary by AI tool, by AI application, and whether you're just using AI assistants or bots, or whether you're using AI agents. The trust but verify thing, I'm just going to reiterate here. It would be embarrassing if you sent something to a prospect or a customer that was very important, that had mistakes in it, that had bias in it, or even had hallucinations that were embarrassing. So be careful there. It's something, it's got a lot of good to it, but it can have a lot of bad to it as well. The last thing I think to stay safe is to utilize local expertise. I think it's very important from a security standpoint to utilize a local IT resource, cybersecurity resource, or both in one, as well as an AI specialist. So that's just something that I think is important. The reason I think it's important, at least to start locally in this AI 101 conversation, is you really need to let whoever you're partnering with get chest deep in the pool. And that's easier to do, I believe, in most cases, by being in person with you, understanding your environment thoroughly, talking with your people, understanding everything they can about your business so they can advise you properly. All right? So let's stay safe. So how do we get started? And we'll wrap this up here in just a minute. I want to make sure everybody realizes here's this again. Perfect is the enemy of good. I think this is one of the things that makes AI feel like a Mount Everest, or feel like you're standing at the start line of a marathon, or anything daunting like that, is because it's such a big topic. It's such a big conversation to have. There's many ways to start, and a lot of folks just get stuck. What do I do next? So the first thing we would encourage you to do is start with some low-risk free tools like ChatGPT. If you're not familiar with ChatGPT, just Google it and get on that portal and start asking it questions and see what it can do. Claude is another. Google Gemini is another. Just tools to start getting ideas from, seeing what you can get. Be careful though; these are public facing tools. So anything you put in there is out for other people to see and use, and potentially for AI to serve up results for other people querying about your company or your information. Start with simple tasks like summarizing notes from a meeting, from an online meeting. Even written notes, you can scan those and have it do the same thing for you with OCR. Make sure you track your results, even one by one, and just see how it's doing. Over time, you'll be able to expand it, and it'll generate ideas for you. Next level is probably a little more complex, but it's still very simple for anybody on this call to do. And that's AI-powered design. For instance, creating graphics, creating PowerPoint presentations, or Google Slide presentations with the graphics that would match. You can actually program or prompt it to use your color schemes, et cetera. And it can even get them off your website. Go to eclipsenetworks.com and use our color scheme, and it's smart enough to know that. So another thing is to automate reporting. If you're manually doing a report occasionally, or some of your people are, as long as the data is there, it can be AI driven to automatically produce that report with virtually no mistakes. Most important thing here is to always start with strategy and then go to tools. And this is common in a lot of conversations about technology. But that's the way to avoid tech fatigue and stay focused. Strategy first, tools second. All right, we want to thank you for joining us today. I hope this has been great information just on the ground level for you to understand the environment and some potential next steps for you to take. And I'm going to promote our next briefing. In just about 2 weeks, our next briefing is going to be Small Business Marketing, the Art of Getting Started. It's going to be hosted by my colleague, Ali Lee. Yay! And it's going to be 2 weeks from yesterday, August 27th at 3 p.m. Please feel free to scan the QR code and register for that. So, Paul, we've got 7 or 8 minutes left. Do we have any questions?
Yes, Sean, we have a couple that have come in, and if anybody that's in the meeting space has any additional questions, just put them up into the Q&A. There's a Q&A button at the top of your Teams desktop app or inside the browser. So just use that Q&A app and I'll get them in over to Sean. Sean, I'm going to paraphrase on some of these here, on the two that had come in, but the first one is, I feel like I need a little bit more from a follow-up and conversation perspective on this subject. What's the best way to facilitate that?
Oh, great question. I'm glad to hear that you're interested in taking the next step. So we will plan to follow up with everybody on the call. And Paul, obviously, you know who that is. We'll make certain that we contact you to discuss, what might fit your need there. If you're just looking for a conversation for some Q&A and follow up, or if you're looking for an initial consultation, then we'll facilitate that no cost. Okay.
And I think this is from the same individual. It's kind of a part two. Does Eclipse Networks have an AI development team or consulting resources?
That's a great question. So if you remember, I talked about AI assistants or bots and AI agents. So just to touch base on this for a second, I'm sorry to take a minute, but I need to thoroughly answer your question and back up a step. So AI bots or AI assistants are definitely something that Eclipse is doing on the regular. That is more of an individual or group of individuals who want to automate tasks or repetitive things, like I talked about, automating automatic reports that you're currently spending time putting on, but the data is there for the AI engine to see. That's one example. So we are currently doing that, where we're creating some things that would automatically trigger, happen, take care of tasks for you, and even respond to your customers if needed. The AI agents are a completely different animal that Eclipse has partners to bring to the table to discuss your situation, understand your needs, and present outcomes using AI for your consideration. Does that answer your question, you think, Paul?
Yeah, I believe so. Appreciate that. So we don't have any other questions queued up at this point, but I'll put it out there one more time. If you have any questions in the meeting space, feel free to pump those in real quick. We'll give it about 20 seconds here if we see any typing. Otherwise, again, as Sean mentioned, we will be following up with the folks that were in the meeting and the webinar with us here. So
great. Yeah, I appreciate you all joining today and spending your time with us. There may be slicker presenters out there, but there's nobody that cares more about how you guys land than Sean. So, Paul, we'll count to 10 and sign off. Okay.
That sounds great.
Thank y'all again, and we will see you on our next briefing.